Six.
Call order the village board meeting at the Lisbon Village Hall on Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 at 6:33 p.m. Roll call, please.
President Osterman,
Here.
trustee Moonen,
Here.
trustee Beal,
Here.
trustee Quinn,
Here.
treasurer Gerard.
Here.
Utility accountant Sergeant. And clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes. Administrator Nicholas is absent and excused, as well as trustee Plotecker.
Thank you. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is comments from citizens present and citizens that wish to make any comments tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, if you'd step up to the microphone and state your name and address, please. First.
My name is Devin Frederick. I live on Cherry Hill Road. I would like to, at the last meeting, I understand that you guys were doing research regarding the grinder pump situation for residents. Could we please have an update on what you've done in the research and what other avenues you still need to research?
So this is citizens' comments. You can make comments to us. If it is not agendized, we can't even discuss it. If you want to wait around till after the meeting, we could talk, but I can't talk about it right now.
So, but at the last meeting, you said it was going to be held over into this meeting.
It's gonna be held over until we have more information. And it's not agendized for tonight, man.
So when are you predicting to have information on?
I don't know.
So is it?
So this isn't a back and forth. This is the citizens' comments. You can make comments to us. We can write them down. If you want to wait till after the meeting, we can talk, but I can't talk about something that's not agendized. It's not legal.
So you're saying the whole grinder pump issue is not on the agenda for tonight?
Correct. That is correct.
And you won't tell me until after the meeting when it's going to be on the agenda?
I can't discuss things in an open meeting like this that is not agendized. It's not legal. Cannot do it. After the meeting, though, we have a discussion.
Okay, and so I can't ask any questions, is what you're saying?
You can ask questions, I just can't respond.
Were all the board members, I did give them a letter to be read at the meeting, was not read at the meeting? Can I just ask if everyone has read it? Regarding the grinder pumps?
We can't respond to that. It's citizens' comments. You comment to us
So should I read it?
if you
I
wish.
mean, there's no reason to read it if you've already read it, correct?
You're welcome to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. When the gravity sewer system was installed, not all homes were treated the same. Several residents were required to install grinder pumps at their own cost in order to reduce the total cost of installation of the system. The reduction in excavation costs significantly benefited all Lisbon residents with savings. In turn, the Lisbon community would maintain its grinder pumps since they are a necessary part of the system for all residents who have a safe and well-functioning sewer drainage system. The Lisbon board at that time took into account the cost of maintaining these pumps over the years and deemed that there were significant economical benefits for all residents who design the sewer system this way. Pros and cons for residents with grinder pump versus those without. Pros, there are any. Cons, extra electrical costs to run the pump. Extra homeowners insurance costs because malfunction under the pumps can result in sewage backing up into your home. During power outages, the plumbing is not useful. I have lived in Lisbon for 30 years and averaged 2 to 4 power outages a year, lasting 12 to 48 hours. You have to be very careful about what goes down your drains, toilets, and any particles, sanitary wipes, wads of toilet paper, or anything else that can clog or damage the pump. This means informing guests of the situation. You also have to take precautions to prevent any damage or freezing in cold weather since the unit is outside. If the Lisbon community chooses in the future to renege on their responsibility to maintain a well-functioning sewer system to all residents, there are a few questions that need to be addressed. Lift stations and grinder pumps both move sewage from one elevation to another and are essential components of the system due to its design. Why would you single out residents with grinder pumps to pay more to maintain a system that we all share? Which plumbing companies have you obtained alternative bids for grinder pump maintenance, and how do they compare to the current contract with the ballot? And I'd also like to know what other grants you have pursued. The Southeast Planning Commission says that there's very many grants that are available to towns and villages for sewer maintenance. How will homeowners be compensated for the shift in economic responsibility of sewer maintenance? They will accrue hundreds of dollars in costs annually over other residents. Grinder pump residents have already absorbed thousands of dollars of extra expenses for the required pumps, their installation and electrical hookup in order for the system to work as designed. Asking them to pay more for maintenance of a system we all share would be an undue financial burden. It's about 75% more over other residents if you renege on the responsibility of the economical maintenance. Or do you have plans to redo the main line so that all residents can access the system in the same manner? How will homeowners be compensated for the decreased value and marketability of their homes due to the additional economic burden of maintenance of the mandatory grinder pump? As a community, we all pay for services collectively that as individuals we have never used, such as fire and emergency services, special events, play and sports equipment in the parks. We contribute as individuals because it benefits the Lisbon community as a whole. We share the cost of maintaining services, providing protection and recreation, and together we invest in our future as a community to ensure that Lisbon is a great place to live. So I asked the board to rethink any future intentions of discontinuing sewer maintenance for some parts of the integrated system. Grinder pumps an essential link to a system that provides the most basic of services to some residents. It comprises such a small cost of the overall expenses. It's only about 5% of running and maintaining the Lisbon sewer system as a whole. According to past budget reports, the yearly maintenance contribution of a resident without a grinder pump take about 50 years to equal the upfront initial cost to a resident that is required to install one. As a community, we can collectively ensure that all vital parts of our waste disposal system are maintained in a safe and well-functioning manner for all of its residents. I would like to talk with you then after the meeting so that we can have a back and forth.
Sounds good. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah. My name is Henry Frederick, same address as Gabrielle.
Could you state it though, please?
W223 and 7619 Cherry Hill Road.
Thank you.
My comment is, a month ago when we were here, you implied that we would be talking about this today. My comment is, I don't understand why we're not doing this today. I guess that's more of a question, but my comment is, you had implied that this would be moved on to the following month. Today is the following month.
I can't respond, sir. We can talk after the meeting.
What is the agenda today? Can you talk about that?
There's
Copy.
copies on the board.
We cannot have any back and forth on any item on the agenda. It's just your time to comment to us. That's how the meetings are set up. It's not my rule, it's.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I wasn't looking, honestly.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make any comments? Anyone on Zoom? You want to make a comment, use the raise hand function?
At least two of them are here for agenda items.
All right, item 4 is the consent agenda, items listed on, I'm sorry. Someone raise their hand.
No, it's just before we go on. That's okay.
Did anyone else wish to speak?
Okay. Sorry.
Item 4, the consent agenda, items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a village board member member requested an item be removed for special consideration. We had the April 10th, 2024 village board meeting minutes, the April 23rd, 2024 special village board meeting minutes. The 2024-2025 mobile home park license for American Mobile Home Communities. Tony Bukowski as weed commissioner and approval of the new baseball field at community park. Is there any item that someone would like to remove for special consideration, or is there a motion on the consent?
I make the motion, we accept all the items on the consent agenda from A to E.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item 5, accounts payable. A, we have authorizing the payment of the Falls Auto Parts bill dated 4/25 for $9.24. Any discussion, or is there a motion on this item? Motion to approve. Moved by Marconi to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Paula. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Item B, authorizing the payment of the remaining bill dated 4/25 for $232,224.72. And 5/2 for $225,932.30. The top 5 expenses. On each of them, we have the Blaze Landscape contracting for $115,000. Premier Building Inspection for $27,738.29. Reliant Fire Apparatus for $17,506.01. Payment to the Village of Sussex for $15,135.42. Municipal Law and Litigation for $11,734.56. We have our U.S. Bank Court payment for $85,403.02, which be the credit card, I believe. And then Waukesha County Treasurer for $74,078.29. Kunkel Engineering for $20,887.50. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for $12,955.56. And the Lisbon Utility District for $7,597.70. Any questions or comments, or is there a motion? Check registers.
I'll make a motion, we authorize the check registers, for 4/25 for $232,244.72, and May 2nd for $225,932.30.
Is there a second?
A second.
Linda, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We've authorizing the payment of the utility district bills dated 4/30 for $60,297.12. Questions on utility bills?
Yes, was reviewing these when we sent them over. And after all these years, the village still doesn't know, hey, this is responsibility of the village. You know, and I know there are items on there that obviously is, but it should be stated. Homeowner pays or the village pays, that's all. And I talked to my.
Mike, is there a way to delineate the bill number by responsibility?
Well, the bills that appear here are ones that been determined that are the district responsibility. If it was the homeowner's responsibility, we wouldn't bring it forward for payment.
Linda, what do you ask?
Well, no, we've always asked the bill on the bill itself, when Mike has sent it, it always says responsibility of. We always made that a fact, that you must disclose that, because we've held up checks before in the past to verify that. I just want that up front again and make sure that the bill says that, that's all. I understand what you're saying, I just like all bases covered.
I'll speak to their account. There's been a change in the people who handle our work in the field, so they're probably not familiar with it.
Well, sure.
And the last bill actually had a street address that was not related to our sanitary district. So I called them and asked about why they were going us for such an address, and they clarified that it was a mistaken identification of the street. So it's always not necessarily clear from the person that's out in the field into the clerks that write the stuff up, but we can talk to her again, ask her to make sure it's on the bill.
I was just trying to save you extra work, Mike.
But for the understanding of the board is you audit each individual one before you put it on.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion on the check register?
I make a motion, we, pay the bills dated 4/30 for $60,297.12.
Is there a second? Second. Mark, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries forward. Item 6, announcements and correspondence. We have the Merton Joint Planning Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 14th at 6:30 PM at the Village Hall. We have the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting on the 15th at 5 PM here at the Village Hall. We have a public hearing and plan commission meeting on Wednesday, the 22nd at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Fire Station. Board review is Thursday, the 30th at 6 PM at the Richard Young Fire Station. The Parks Committee meeting on June 12th at 5 PM at the Village Hall, and the next Village Board meeting on June 12th, also at 6:30 PM at the Village Hall. Does anyone else have any other announcements or correspondence?
No.
Item 7, administrative report.
So I don't have a written report, but I have been mainly working on our code.
Any questions, for Kathy? Item 8, treasurer's quarterly report.
I'll start off with training efforts and general updates before moving on to the financials. I registered for year 3 Treasurers Institute this July, and I'm planning to attend the Treasurers Conference in September as I'm a member of the conference committee this year. I plan to apply for the Principal Treasurer Association of Wisconsin certification this summer. And moving on to other staff, both deputies are trained on cash receiving and have assisting with deposits. The audit was handled on site at the end of March, and audit entries are all complete. I did start Form C today, and that deadline is next Wednesday. The TID annual report then will follow, that's due July. In terms of taxes, January and February settlements are complete. We've received 75% of tax revenues. The April lottery credit settle is balanced and distributed. And then August is just remaining. Due to the direct distribution change of the payments, we are receiving payments in March, May, and July, which we are earning interest on as we hold those funds prior to the April and August settlements. The great news, we've earned 5.39% on the tax deposits, December, January, and February. I transferred the balance of those funds to money market to continue that rate match with LGIP, so that's currently at 5.38%. We did close on the 2024 capital projects loan. The proceeds were $743,000, and we received those April 26th, closing going great. So moving on to those financial reports, so that's next right after the utility bills. I will speak to the summary first. So as of the end of March, we received 60% of our budgeted revenues. Key callouts are taxes and public charges for services, which is mainly at this point made up of the garbage special charges from tax revenue. Upcoming revenues down at the bottom are approximately 700,000, close to in aids, not including the Q1 quarry payment, which is around 83,000. The total expenditures account for 18% of the budget as of March 31st. If you include the capital we levied for with the sinking funds, we're at 28%. Upcoming debt payments taking us through year end here are approximately 56,000 of interest. The departments are in good standing at the end of Q1. And let's move on to investments. We put the page on the back here. Total investments as of March are approximately 12 million. The total interest earned for Q1 is 109, just over 195,000. Interest income is slightly higher than Q1 last year. I did go ahead and list covering the interest history at the bottom of the investments page just for comparison purposes. And last, I'll speak to some CD updates. So I added funds to the Waukesha State Bank General CD, which is the one that's listed here, $369,348. And I negotiated, the 5% rate up from their initial offers of around 4% and 4.5%. I will consider adding funds to our town bank CD as well, and that's visible in September, depending on the rate environment. Interest paid in April on our Waukesha State Bank CDs was over 6,000. And as always, I'm keeping a close eye on the rates. LGIP and money market are still running higher yields than just a CD. But I will work to secure more CDs as rates potentially decline throughout this year. Both of our banking partners have a really quick turnaround time, so I can secure a CD within it's days, less tan a week. And final call out, our current portfolio diversity is about, LGIP is about 50%, and then Waukesha Community Bank, which is our primary, is 30%, and town bank is at 20%. My plan is to add some graphs in my upcoming presentation, so you can just to further illustrate the investment portfolio and see that as a visual. If there's any questions, then obviously with your review, I am available for go into any of those details of the line items. And that's the final report that I have. Thank you.
Any comments, questions?
Thank you, great job.
What was your strategy for the Waukesha State Bank addition? Is that a yearly thing or is that shorter than that?
For the addition for the CD.
Yeah.
I just knew that they had a potential, to have that great rate at 5%. So I just wanted to try to diversify the funds and put a little bit more into the CDs. I'm trying to look at a ladder approach. So yeah, 6 months to 12 months and just laddering them between town bank and Waukesha State Bank. So then these renewals are happening every 6 months. And then I can decide whether or not we're going to fund or just roll over and do nothing, just leave it.
Thanks. Thank you. Item 9, utility district quarterly report. Mike?
Mike, is your mic on? Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Sanitary district, revenues are right on budget. They're pretty predictable since most of the billing for residents is fixed amounts. There is some variability in the commercial accounts. We typically see the charges from Sussex for the treatment of the commercial accounts a month before we see the revenue, just because of the timing. So we see revenues are exactly where we would expect them. We do see the sewage treatment costs a bit higher than what we had planned to be at this time. And that is related to the estimated bill that came in for Willow Springs. They had a meter failure. So their bill was a little bit higher. I spoke with the accountant for Willow Springs. They understand they're gonna pay that bill, but it's gonna be a little bit lumpy. We'll see more revenue when they pay that bill. The other large expense that we have is in engineering. We've been doing more engineering work than had been anticipated. So we see that our overall cost on the engineering is up. But overall, our budget, we're gonna be right on pretty much to where we expect it to be. Cash, we ended the 2023 with $317,000 of unrestricted funds. At the end of March, that was decreased to $275,000. And there are two reasons why the unrestricted funds increased. One is we have a monthly requirement to increase restricted funds to meet our utility asset replacement fund. And then secondly, the operating deficit for the first quarter reduced the unrestricted funds.
Any questions for Mike?
Like I sent you an email today, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think you can knock the answer out of the park because it's something you do all the time. But one of the utility users had a question about the quarterly billing versus stormwater. Can you just explain what the quarterly bill that they get for $155 is for?
Well, it's actually, it's less confusing now. Now, prior to this year, when people looked at their tax bill, they all actually saw a levy from the sanitary district as well as stormwater. Plus they had their regular bill, so there were three parts to it. Now there's only two. The stormwater, portion of the property tax bill is to pay for stormwater drainage and maintenance of stormwater ditches, which are the free flowing water that are going through culverts and into the normal watershed. The sanitary district is a system that's designed to handle waste. And it's a restricted system and that type of flow is separate. So stormwater is billed on everybody's property tax bill. Only the people who are connected to the sanitary system are actually billed for sanitary sewer.
And then the question too was, what does the quarterly funds go for?
Well, the quarterly funds are set every year, and the current rate is $155 per quarter. And the intent there is for the operating expenses of the utility to break even. And breaking even means funding the restricted reserve in addition to covering your operating expenses. So we have an obligation to continue to increase our restricted reserve for asset replacement. As of the end of March, that restricted reserve is $517,000. That is in comparison to the historic cost of our plant, which is $4,372,000. You see the amount of restricted funds we have is relatively low compared to the historic value that we have, knowing that if we had to replace our system today, it's going to cost significantly more than $4 million. So it's been discussed in the past by the board about what the amount of restricted funds should be. And every year there's two parts to it. There's a part that is required by the DNR that we have to maintain. And then there's a portion that we're trying to do to fund the ultimate replacement. During 2023, the only funds that really came out of the restricted fund were for some minor maintenance. So we typically, minor replacement of certain equipment. But we do see that the lift stations are aging, and that's probably the most significant asset that would come up for replacement. The pipes in the ground are pretty much maintained over a long period of time. So it's the pumps in the system are the critical piece for us right now.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mike? All right, thank you, Mike.
Thanks, you.
All right, item 10, unfinished business. Status update regarding compliance order issued to property at North 64 West 26611 Hillcrest Drive.
So, in front of you, you have a letter, from our building inspector, who went out, yesterday to do a site inspection as you requested. Requested, this homeowner to come in, for a 30-day checkup. You gave him 60 days. He's here today to, answer any of your questions.
Everybody's got the letter. Is there any questions anyone has? For you, Paula? Okay, Linda?
It's this one here. Is it right up on front?
Mark, anything for you?
What do you have left to accomplish? I know.
Pretty much it's been dealt with. There are some minor things that still need to be done. The items that the gentleman had listed included a slide and some lawn chairs that he had to move, so they are now visible from the front of the property to the back of the property. There are, as I said, one or two items that I'm planning to take care of before the end of this weekend in anticipation of having some maintenance work done by Mason on the front.
Do you have any concern that your compliance will not be made by 60
At this
days?
point, no, but date that I thought we had kind of agreed to just for confirmation purposes was Memorial Day.
Do we have that date?
We wouldn't. We would have it.
May 8th. Extension
That's today, but it's
stated there.
60 days.
A 60-day request, made based on initial understanding that. Had to be complied with, but originally by March 12th.
60 days, we get them to June, probably 7th. 6th.
Yeah, we were just on schedule to have it done before the June meeting.
Any further questions? at this time?
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
You do?
Thank you.
No. Item 11, new business. A, discussion and necessary action during future utility billing and tax collection.
I'll start with taxes first. There are not many updates since I last presented the tax options at budget season. Our software system Cassell, they did confirm it's a likely a 2-year beta workaround. In terms of pricing, they would match Banyan setup fees so that in order to on board with their tax module, it would be less than $5,000. Like the first time one-time fee, and then 2,000 annually plus support fees. Again, that's very similar to what we used for tax software previously, which is Banyan. Pricing, it's the same receiving process. It would be uploading batches to the county via file transfer. So a very similar feel. And I will say the support would likely be better with Cassell because you can call and talk to a lot of different representatives versus there's one point person with Banyan when you're having an issue. My recommendation, honestly, would be to hold off until the testing years are over. And like I said, they were full transparency. They said likely 2 years. For the utility update, Cassell offered the same exact quote, no price increase from when we brought it here a year ago, 2 years ago. So around that $15,000 to $16,000 mark. And that is the initial licensing fee. It set up the migration from Workforce, migrating it all into our software. That would be bank reconciliations and the receiving portion and the billing portion. Cassell said, we talked back and forth on a preferred timeline. Year end is really difficult, but it's also a good time to migrate because then you have your full year ahead of you. And so they did talk about year end, maybe training in just at the end of December or really early in January. The first set of bills would go out in January. Maybe that would be that would go out slightly late because you would have to train right away in January. That's their goal, is you train and do the bills within a couple days so that your training is fresh in your mind. They mentioned possibly testing some bills to see how our system differs in Q4 sometime prior to that launch and that migration.
So we think we can handle the, we can handle this, the extra hours of the utility billing system in-house without additional staffing. Being that it's the end of last quarter, elections will be done. And, I think we can work toward that, training and kickoff for January.
So the office here, Kathy, would be doing the agenda, checking on the bills and all of that stuff,
Yeah,
correct?
well,
The
we
minutes?
do the agenda now.
Okay.
But yes, we
Everything
would,
is-
correct.
Okay, and they just do, Banyan just would do the bills.
So we would do all of it.
Oh. the bills,
Oh,
understood.
I was talking about taxes.
Oh,
So we got two separate issues. We've got
Right.
right now, we've Waukesha County for the tax collection.
right,
And that software isn't gonna be out of beta testing for another year or two.
right.
Does anybody, as far as Waukesha County, anybody have any issues doing that from last year?
We didn't hear, we didn't have a lot of complaints coming to us at all.
The reason we mentioned it and we're talking about both is because that timing would be, you can't, staff can't possibly do both of those things. Bring in taxes, innovating beta testing environment and try to transition the building to.
Okay.
We also
That's
have
right.
another thing, we're gonna have a new administrator in January.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, do we want to bring this on in January? Or is there benefit to doing it in the first quarter versus the second quarter? Is there any difference between doing it?
For the utility billing, the best time to do it would be in January. That way this year would be completed. We wouldn't have, full ownership would be at the village staffing. So when we go through audit, we'll be all consistent. The work is actually being done, the training and work will be mostly done in December. The bills go out in January. So all the migration and training and such would be done in December. I think we'd be in good shape. We have an election in possibly February, but definitely April. And so I think it fits within our staff time to that we would be able to fit this in.
First tax collection, good. We have to get a contract from Waukesha County, but are we
Right.
tentatively leaning towards letting them do it again?
I thought about bringing this forward now because we wanted to kind of get, if we were gonna move forward on the utility billing, we wanted to get a good head start on prepping for that. And we also wanted to make you aware that we couldn't do both. And so we wanted to also get your opinion on what was more important to bringing in utility or tax collections. We're requesting utility bill.
What, I guess from an analysis standpoint, what extra hours will we bring in the house that the utility administration is doing right now?
About 40 hours, 40 hours a month.
I mean, I tracked for a year, I believe, I just averaged hours that were listed on Mike's bills, 25 hours about per month is what I was looking at for me to absorb and take on. And then the deputies with helping with the billing, that would be, and the receipting would be likely 10 hours per month each.
I think
This is just an average, because
Yeah.
I know there's more hours depending on, Mike has seasonal things and audit and reports and whatnot, but.
Right. I think we can spread some of that extra workload within the staffing. So I don't, I believe we could get this accomplished within our 3 people in the office.
And how would the district be, or the utility be charged? I mean,
Double.
Yeah. But I'm
A
just-
portion of their time,
Of the
just,
normal
yeah,
time?
the portion of their time that they're working on it, just like you are for Mike.
It'd be similar to payroll, how we have like a portion goes to stormwater, different parts of people's payroll are allocated, it would be allocated to the utility fund.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Mike, what, in our current budget, I'm looking at deputy secretary and bookkeeping fund and audit and accounting fees. Is that,
The deputy is for my firm. The auditing fee is for, Baker Tilly.
so the 12,000 is strictly just Baker Tilly?
Yeah.
Is anybody using this software now? That we know of? Like
Yeah, yeah.
utility,
Town of Brookfield has been using it for a number of years,
any issues?
not particularly.
Learning.
I know Amy has like 4 utilities. So she's been using it and, you know, showed me some of the ways that you print the bills differently and everything that Casell can do. And then you can make those little postcards and all.
Amy is the prior treasurer, so you can.
And what's
But
the
her
ramp up-
deputies
the
do.
ramp up time on that to go like fully with these and you're beta tested?
No, this would be we would be going through it and we would be on board by January 1.
Or- Good.
Mhm.
I will say that they did not mention, Casell did not say that any time is good. You know, honestly, because I said, what is the best time to onboard us and transition us? And they said, it's not great any way you slice it, because you might have to do mid-year, you know, if you want to do summer, that's not as busy maybe versus year end, then you have all this accounting that's in workforce and you're trying to migrate.
Right.
It's messy no matter what. I think in the beginning of the year, we did migrate just in general when we moved up to this accounting software right in January to have a full year. That is a preference. I know
Mhm.
Sussex did it that way too, and it's tough, but then your whole year is within one software system. That would be ideal.
What, so what pros would be there for billing in-house versus through a contracting service?
Well, we have the ability to take payment for our customers other than check. Right now, we just do check. We do cash, we can do credit card, because across the counter, we can do credit card. We can do, in the future, once everything is in really good working order, we can go and start ACHing. People can be paying their full bill at one time instead of every quarter. They could, at the beginning of the year, pay the full bill. So there's a lot of different things our residents will see. That will be a positive.
And to charge, it's only like 3%, is that what it is, or?
What's our current,
Well, it would
It's like-
depend on if you're just talking a credit card, our credit card fees right now are 4% that we're passing.
Okay.
But if we were to do an auto pay, there are costs associated with that per year with Casell, and they do give us a pretty good discount. Like if we go with their proprietary, let's call it, credit card, like they have like this credit card portal where you create your account, and then that is 2.9% plus a 30-cent transaction fee. So it's like a discounted bulk rate if you go with them, where people are able to log in. And so residents can log in, create their account, and then they can set up their auto pay. You do have to pay for that because of all the securities and banking and whatnot. But there is another option where we don't pay for that portal. But you can still have some paperless bill options. So there's kind of a tier of how many things you want to offer. But then if we go with the one that's less expensive, we manage the auto pay. So anytime there's somebody who has an issue with their bank account, needs to update something, they have to call in. So there's, you know, you're gonna pay a premium on the portal that allows more, you know, user features.
that's a, yeah, so that's a feature that we can offer them. It's not something that I would like to roll out immediately. I'd like to keep it real close to doing what they're used to doing now, but we can add our credit card and that we have on our counter right now before we start going into the portal and ACHing and such. Take it by baby steps when we're gonna be enhancing our
I mean, we
the
could-
abilities.
Yeah, we could do a letter or an email blast and get a survey, response and find out how many people are interested in something like that. Does that? Is the cost worth it? Do you only have 20 people who want to do auto pay? Do you have a lot of people who feel like they don't like those kind of securities or are hesitant about that? And then you wouldn't want to continue to pay, $500 annually for that portal, whatever other transaction fees that are, or support fees that are included in that.
The other main thing by going with Cassell instead of staying with Workhorse is that the staff all knows Cassell, so they already are receiving the utility module will be somewhat the same as what they're used to seeing when they're working with Cassell. It completely migrates with the system we currently have. You've paid all that money for using Cassell and having that as your accounting software, and using the module helps reduce some of the journal entries that if we were going from one software to another software that would require extra work.
Is this module gonna add auditing expenses to our budget?
Not
From-
any more than what I think it might even reduce our auditing costs, because that's what they were looking for us to have done this year, was they thought it was going to be just like all the rest of our funds, it would be a village audit and we have all the different funds. This fund would be just included in there, and so it would be part of our 2024 audit that's done in 2025.
Thoughts on the?
When the auditors request information, they get it all out of the one system. And that's what's gonna cut down their hours and their costs, that they're gonna be charging us, because right now we got it from Mike, we got all the paperwork and what Mike got from Workhorse. And then Natasha sent that, she had it all ready, and then they could pull the file right out of our software. So.
I mean, it sounds like you've got a good plan in place and you're comfortable with that.
I guess on my end, Mike, do you have anything to add from the current situation to what the board should consider for possible transition?
Well, I don't know what that might. My one comment would be is that the Workhorse software runs on a separate computer, which is well beyond where it should be. So we're going to be confronted with having to do something to upgrade the existing system anyway. So you might as well migrate it to a single platform. Makes a lot of sense.
One thing I thought of is, obviously right now Mike's doing a lot of the budget, I guess, preparing here. Chairing the utility committee, I definitely find a lot of value in that. Of his expertise to help onboard us. And I guess one thing I would caution the board too is that I wouldn't want to lose entirely what comes with not just Mike putting together a piece of paper, but what expertise that he is bringing to the transition. Just a thought for us to wrap our heads around, and I guess.
The historical
Yeah,
information he has,
I mean,
knowledge, yeah.
it's been a very eye-opening transition, I think for a lot of the utility side of it. I guess I would hate to handicap any good progress we're taking. I'm not saying I'm opposed to the newness of this, but I don't want to lose the value to the old system.
It's always been talking about before too.
I guess, I mean, do you have any thoughts to that, Mike? I don't want to speak for your side, but I have my own opinion on what I thought.
Reality is I'm long in the tooth. And my availability is becoming less and less available. So you should take that into consideration.
And I haven't talked with you personally about this, but one thing I thought of is almost into our new budget to consider for next year is building in a portion for consulting. Where we can still lean on him for historical questions, and then he would essentially bill us a rate. Just for, just like we do for any of our other contractors. So. I don't know if your firm is open to that, or,
I've always said I'm here to help you.
no, I know, and none of us, nothing in this world is free, and I don't want to take something away and then look to capitalize on our improvements without equitably compensating a business.
I'm just here to help you guys migrate, and in the long run, migrating to a single platform is the right thing to do. And have a uniform, if you're gonna grow the sanitary district, look at expanding water utility, it has to be accounts. You can't do that out.
Well, this will be definitely a transition, so. In the billing and then the administration. Transfer, I mean, we're gonna be a lot of new things coming up here in the next 9 months.
Right.
I mean,
That is my biggest concern, is that the progress we have been making, albeit it's slow, but I think we're going in the right direction as far as transition of administration, just understanding what each account is for. And I professionally here would not want to lose any kind of connection to that. And
I don't think you have to worry about that. I'll be around to help you with this. But I would think that you'd want to move as much of the clerical operation inside of them. Because otherwise the historical knowledge will always be external if you don't bring it inside.
no, I understand that. What I'm trying to do is a route of extraction.
I said, I'm here to help you guys.
Thank you.
We need a motion on any of this, or just somebody bring back up? Proposal.
We'll get the contract put together and bring it forward.
Any other discussion on this one? Alright. Item B is discussion necessary action regarding annual committee member appointments. We don't have the list, so.
No, I was never given this. I've never seen it.
Yes, Nancy. I just figured you communicated with it. Okay,
No,
So-
what she gave me didn't have
Well,
a full listing of
push that
who needed to get
to the
appointed.
next meeting. Sure.
Okay.
Item C is discussion necessary action regarding determination of class C.
Excuse me, Joe, just really quick, is that gonna be a problem?
No.
Because the park meeting is before this meeting, so we're gonna be short actual members.
Is this-
if their term expires, or
we just let it
we just
ride.
Okay.
Anybody that's most likely to be on there will be on there. I think it just carries on.
It just carried on.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Item C, discussion necessary action regarding determination of class 2 co-location for T-Mobile. Got a few of these.
We've had a number of these, and I think we're going to continue to see more of them. We touched briefly on them at our monthly staff meeting today. Orin has gone through, and reviewed their submittal, regarding whether it is a substantial modification or not. And contained within his staff report, he shows that they do not meet the criteria for a substantial modification. And then there is a staff recommendation at the end of the report to determine that the modification request is non-substantial, subject to the 4 conditions on page 3 of his report.
Discussion.
And the applicant is present on Zoom if you've got any questions.
Any questions for you, Paula? Nope. Linda? Mark? Is there a motion on this item?
Make a motion to determine that the wireless telecommunication facility modification request for T-Mobile Central LLC doing business as T-Mobile for the property located at N52W23070 Lisbon Road to be a non-substantial subject to the following 4 conditions, and that those are outlined in the staff report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Linda, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries for all. Item D, discussion and necessary action regarding determination of the classification for Verizon.
Same exact thing as the last one, just on a different location. Orin has everything contained within his report. And is recommending a determination that the modification request is non-substantial, subject to the 4 conditions listed on page 3 of the staff review.
Questions for Paula? Linda? Mark? No. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve that the wireless telecommunication facility modification request for Verizon Wireless LLC for the property located at W250 and 8243 Hillside Road, Lisbon, Wisconsin, to be a non-substantial, subject to the following 4 conditions as outlined directly in the staff report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paula. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for all. Item E, discussion only regarding ongoing village code update, specifically chapter 5, the nuisance.
Makes sense. I'll go get it.
All right, so we went through the nuisance ordinance. I have in front of you both the red and the clean copy, red line. A lot of the changes. We have some substantial changes, which is why I wanted to talk to you about it. So, the areas of, the small things are, you know, the village to town and, misspellings and things of that. But I knew that we had, public nuisances that we wanted to discuss on the vehicles, 5.06. Did anybody have anything before 5.06 that they wanted to discuss?
No, nobody?
One thing I thought of was the noise ordinance. It'd be 5.02 D9.
5.02. Okay,
The new change would be any loud or discordant noise or vibration.
and that's what we had before, but the change was, it used to say of any kind, and now we changed it to as to disturb a reasonable person.
Right,
That's an arbitrary term,
yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
But of any kind is unobtainable.
Right.
I guess my question would be, why can't we take out loud or discordant? I mean, discordant by definition is disagreeable to the ear, dissonant or harsh.
We can take them out.
And I guess I'm just throwing it to the board. I guess that leaves that to subjectiveness from one person to the next, and then calls into question reasonableness and.
Mhm. Okay,
Would you repeat that, then, Mark, tell me?
By leaving it discordant, one person could say.
Different opinions.
I guess. Classical violin music,
Mhm.
somebody's playing in their backyard, their neighbor doesn't like violin music, but it's not loud, but the other person can say it's discordant.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that then?
As determined by some, you know,
One of those, you put more description or less description?
Less,
you know,
less is better when you're dealing with noise, because some communities boil it down to a decibel meter, and that is entirely slippery slope. When you put the reasonable standard in there for somebody to have an ordinance, they have to then attest to it, which is important. So they're gonna have to attest to it at their initial complaint, and then they're gonna have to attest to it at court, which then it leads to the judicial official to determine who's reasonable. So I think less is more in this case.
I'm in favor of removing it.
moving the whole,
Well, just discordant.
So any noise or vibration at such level as to disturb a reasonable person, so we're taking out loud or discordant. Okay.
okay.
We're striking louder discordant.
okay,
Well, I think it's both.
okay. I did it before I left. I figured we were going in the direction.
Okay. Right,
Are you recommending both, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think that's what you said too.
Yeah, any noise or vibration at such a level as to disturb a reasonable person.
Mhm.
anything else then before?
I just want to make sure that it's all in here so we don't have issues with that.
Yeah, so that's, that, change was a change that the attorney, the codifying attorney, gave us information on that it needed to be revised to avoid potential constitutional issues, which was the suggestion was what we gave, so. I've got it stricken.
Anything then before abandoned vehicles? All right, 5.06.
No, I was just wondering if, and missing it, maybe, how about something like, lights? Do you need to put something in here about, so someone doesn't light up the whole lot?
We do not have anything in our code on, residential lighting. We do have it in our zoning for commercial lighting, but not for residential lighting.
Should we consider that for residential? Because that's come up in the past. So we have a rule to follow.
When did that come up?
Oh,
Um,
it was-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Categories.
mhm,
I don't want to go down that path personally. I'm one vote though.
okay, okay.
I don't want to be out on somebody's property line with a meter. Registering light at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I did not
How
put
you
lighting
do
in
that.
there.
Pardon me?
I don't know. I think it would, if we were to write something, it would have to be that the light could not go on to the neighbor's property, but it doesn't say that you can't have light in the sky above your property.
Mhm.
You know, we don't even do that for, you know,
Okay.
and when it come, we'd have to write something that would say that we'd have to exclude all Christmas lights. Or holiday lights, I should say. And so I think then they would just put up holiday lights and leave them up all the time. Say it's,
Well, somebody
Yeah.
had, like, how would they deal with that? If there was, I don't know, you would a spotlight that was shining in somebody's bedroom window on them.
yeah, we don't have anything right now. Like,
Does anybody do anything like that? That anybody's aware of?
we've,
Oh, communities.
oh,
Oh,
no, I don't, I am unaware of any communities that
communities, no, I'm not. aware.
that
It was
restrict
just- I was
lighting
thinking-
on residential property.
I was just thinking what has happened in the past, if we could avoid it, but I understand what you're saying, it's kind of,
Unreasonable people will do unreasonable things no matter what rules we make.
it's true. Okay,
Yeah, I mean. I guess it could be a public nuisance or public peace disturbance. Somebody
For
would
a
have to
reasonable
test-
person.
Somebody'd have to test it under the nuisance ordinance.
okay.
506. We tried to, work around the idea that if a vehicle sits for, 15 days, that it's, considered an abandoned or junk vehicle. So this is how we figured we'd try to work through it. By changing what an abandoned motor vehicle was. That was our first step. Or is.
Does anyone else use this language or is this something new?
This was taken from Sussex.
So one thing I'm
I'm
thinking
sure.
of this, I guess the intent of an abandoned. Vehicle can be two different things. An abandoned motor vehicle could be like. Somebody's car breaks down and. Then, they pull it off the road and
Mhm.
park in somebody's driveway.
Mhm.
That's an abandoned vehicle, essentially the property owner has to initiate a tow. But you have to have an ordinance where the community could cite that vehicle to have it removed.
Mhm.
So,
I think we have something in here that says,
so there's public and
yes.
private.
yeah. And we have it as public and private. So discarded motor vehicle is what would be the motor vehicle that I think you were, considering an abandoned, that one that was just left on public roadway and, the ownership, of the adjacent real estate property owner was unaware of the owner.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the abandoned motor vehicle is to. Essentially prevent somebody from stockpiling inoperable cars on their property,
Mhm.
creating like a
Junkyard.
junkyard. I don't think it's in place to prohibit somebody from owning many vehicles.
I like this better than the other one.
You like what?
It's better than. I don't like that 15-second day deal at all.
Yeah,
So, in thinking of that. Trying to go back to thinking why they even put that in place in the first place. Well, what about? What about somebody who puts a motor vehicle in their driveway and. Abandons it. And it just doesn't move.
Well, if it's dismantled, is it working?
Nope, it's working.
And does it have
Well,
plates on
They
it?
would have the person who put it there, so it wouldn't qualify for abandoned. If
Yeah,
it's
you're just-
working, it wouldn't qualify for
And
dismantled.
if it has valid, plates and registration, it's fine until it doesn't.
Suburban.
You got a Suburban in your yard?
Yeah, I'm not talking, I'm not trying to think of a way to be punitive to the people who have many vehicles, they just can't, I mean, obviously you can only drive so many vehicles a day. But how do we protect the neighborhood from having somebody who's now stockpiling unsightly vehicles in the public view?
Unsightly to who?
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, who determines what's unsightly?
well, to one person it is, one person it's not. And I
Yeah,
guess
but that's
that's
the
what I'm trying
problem.
to think of,
But it's,
what the spirit of that 15-day thing is.
I can tell you, I will not be on board for that. One vote, like, there's no way.
It depends, I think, there's nothing that said, that says anything about a working vehicle here. Or it's all,
Because it's not abandoned and junk, then. It's a
right,
working vehicle.
right,
Yeah, I mean, I think of somebody who has a motor. You know, you may use it once a month now.
Or once every 2 months.
For half the month.
But doesn't it have to be licensed? I mean, if it's.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't be
I
We're
know,
talking
but
about
I'm just
15
saying.
50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's called abandoned, maybe he doesn't have a license on it. The same,
Cause that 15-day thing, that didn't matter if it was licensed or not.
right,
It
but
had to
I'm,
be fully licensed and everything. It could be drivable, licensed, completely legal, but if it's sat for more than 15 days, it's being abandoned. Right. That's what I don't.
we
support.
remove it.
Yeah,
So that,
But,
I guess was that put in place to keep people from putting like cars for sale in their yard for a month? I guess I'm just trying to think why they would put that in there.
obviously there was. a
Somebody was
problem, but-
vindictive against a neighbor and they put it
Yeah.
in there back in the day.
Yeah,
These five, the 305.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody should be able to park there more over their driveway, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
If you use it,
unless there's restrictions in the subdivision.
In the,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
anyway.
that's completely out of our
Different.
hands.
Yeah, it's right.
Is
So
anybody?
what are we thinking? Abandoned motor vehicle. Did you have anything that you wanted to tweak on what the change was? Did you want to go back to the
I guess I
way it
just
used
think
to
of,
be, or?
I think of, I don't need to name any locations, may not be within our village limits, but an old vehicle that just somebody plops a for sale sign on that has zero intentions of selling just because they want to keep it as yard art and they found a loophole.
It's only
But
those.
didn't I put something in here on yard art? Thought I had something here.
And Brian does not go out and look for this stuff. He only does it if someone complains to him about
Complains to me, us about it.
it. Yeah. I mean, I guess the 15 days, it might be a protection for someone who's in a subdivision per se. And if the neighbor continuously does this, then I can see, where it's an issue. But if they're not in,
If it's running and if it runs and drives, and people are being used,
yeah.
it's their property for God's sake.
No, I know that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going after the movable, operable.
No,
But it does.
Oh,
This
yeah,
could
I'm
be
not,
used
I'm
as-
not,
This could be used.
I'm not in favor of, I'm not in favor of leaving it in the abandoned motor vehicle, I'm just, I don't wanna miss the intent of maybe why they had it in there that we don't have it somewhere else. You know,
Somebody thought it was a good idea somewhere. I don't know.
so if somebody wanted to post a operable car, front yard for 6 months for sale.
So address it in the front, put an ordinance for not putting it in the front yard, then I guess.
well, that would be in ordinary public view though, like right here. Have the permission to hear.
See, what I don't want, like,
Or, I
if
don't
I got 2 tires parked on the grass, am I in my front yard?
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't wanna
This
get on the
is-
improved versus unimproved surface.
Mhm.
ramp either.
We're never gonna be able to do this, that's gonna make everybody happy.
know. What's the most reasonable course?
Take the 15 days out.
Yeah, definitely that.
You said somewhere that the. Like if you have a lawn.
Yeah,
I
and
I have a 1929 McCormick.
I
deer,
remember-
That's really cool in my front yard. I'd like to keep it there.
and I have written that so many times, and I did have that sentence in there that, um, you know, a vehicle considered a lawn ornament. And
Yeah,
I'm
but a
wondering,
tractor is not considered a vehicle unless it's transported on a road.
Doesn't have a motor?
Well, it's got the pieces of the motor.
Motor vehicle.
1929.
Oh, I know, it looks kind of cool.
which is designed for operation
I
on
wanna
land
put
which is
decorated for
self-propelled.
Christmas, I decorated for Halloween.
You see the definition of motor vehicle?
Yeah, but I don't think it needs to be vehicle.
So it's designed for operation on land, which is self-propelled and can be used for transporting people or materials and including but not limited to automobiles, trucks, blah, blah, blah.
My tractor is not a vehicle.
Fractions.
Yeah, I think even tractors, not
Tractors.
tractions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, tractors is what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's complaining about mine, but.
So, tractor by way of motor vehicle definition means like semi-tractor. Not implement tractor.
So do we say semi-tractor? It's just that,
Wouldn't that
I
be
would
tractor
think that-
trailer?
I would think that an implement
Trailer
tractor,
means it's a tractor plus a trailer.
but the designation would say, I mean, a implement tractor does operate on land, it's self-propelled, it's used for, people and materials. I don't know why it would be not considered a motor vehicle.
Yes, Mike, because I know there's a few in the community of like old 1920s that people have turned into
Mhm.
part of their landscaping.
Right,
I
right.
don't want people to not be able to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I even think of like, you look at, I mean, I know it's a different community, but Bosse's.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a tractor that's a beautiful garden.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's a couple of Menominee Falls that they actually set up like that from the movie Cars. Tomater, they actually put one of those and it's just the kids love it, and it's, nobody's complaining about it, but. There's a couple on Town Line Road, Nobody's complaining, and I know we're complaint based, but
So can you write something into
Mhm.
just,
cover that, it's
cover
Yeah.
that specific thing?
Yeah.
gonna be kind of a rough one, but.
I actually had it written in, and I think, with the revision of this abandoned motor vehicle, like
That's
8 or 10 different, versions of it, I think it just got booted. from the-
Unneeded.
So I'll get some else, I'll get it back in there.
What else?
So we are removing from the nuisance ordinance where we were gonna come on to people's property and remove cars and things that are Macy said that it would be that we should not be doing this, a legal challenge. We have to go for a court order, so we removed it.
Are you talking about E?
F,
Oh,
Yeah, we're not
removal.
going on somebody's property.
Yeah,
to remove
and starting to
stuff.
take
Right,
stuff,
right.
confiscate stuff.
No, everyone would all have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
H talks about if somebody leaves the vehicle on the road or parts, and then I changed the process of, I mean, on H, the process of how our sheriff handles these vehicles. So I got that information from Captain Panis. So this is how they do it. And then so I was wondering on the accessories. So we had it kind of bundled together that the accessories and the vehicles would be removed by the sheriff, but I'm wondering if we should do a threshold and just say that our public works can remove accessories, things that are laying on our road
Mhm.
that are a bumper that fell off, or a broken light. They should be able to just remove those.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, I don't think we need the sheriff to do it, so I put this in there, but should we have some kind of threshold that says of any sort, or just leave it be the, accessories that are deemed abandoned
We just keep it simple.
on our road and let the public works take care of it?
What about trailers that go disabled? Say somebody's in tow and trailer blows a tire. They leave it on the side of the road, who's taking that?
I would think it would you're a deputy, so you know how it would handle. I would think that the sheriff would take care of it because it's something that's titled.
Not all trailers are titled though.
Anything under 3,500 pounds, 3,000 pounds, it's not titled, the license.
Do you have a better way of doing something like that, or doing a threshold that says anything that's? I mean, because we don't want our DPW taking trailers off the road and then people aren't sure where they are.
But if they're there for days, they're gonna
Yeah.
have to go.
Well, if you see it, they can always collect little tags on it or.
And that's what the sheriff would do. They try to locate the person
Exactly.
and then go through their process. You think that we should do something different, Mark?
I'm going back to the new written one, but. Yeah, I guess a trailer would then be equipment, which would then be in the new part.
All right, everybody go with that? Okay. Else, anything else?
We tried to, through this process, we tried to, take our, penalties and make them general. That's why you see it throughout the document. It's going back to, chapter or section 1.05. And that's, primarily at the request of our, court attorney, because we had things that are embedded in code that don't work with, that aren't the same as our bond schedule. So we're trying to take that off. So the next one is really the smoking. And I wasn't sure how we wanted to handle this. A lot of this is in state statute. But the state statute does allow us to have additional restrictions. I took off the things that were in state statute specific, but our signage was different and our penalties were different.
What they do.
20.
Oh, look, that's 16. Oh. Yeah, okay.
So I'm saying in A, on page 18, I'm saying the statutes give the village the right to have authority over the ordinance, so I do reference that, but then what would become B is our signage, and the rest of everything that's crossed out is actually in the statute, so we don't have to say it twice.
Didn't at one time we had a no smoking sign and somebody took it down
Where
here in the village hall?
I wouldn't have taken it down.
Mhm. They used to. bring
It's
us-
illegal to smoke in a public building
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but I'm just saying somebody took it down because they didn't like it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Must have been before my time.
Mhm. Yep, it was.
So, I didn't know if you wanted to keep signage. And we, in this case, we made the, penalties very specific to the,
So these are in place of the state penalties?
these are, yeah, these are more
'Cause I think that
restrictive
state. I thought the state penalties were like $500.
for penalties of violating,
Charge who violates sub shall be subject to forfeiture of $100 for each violation.
state statute. Said
That's statute.
the less than 100, no more than 250.
Since we're protected by Wisconsin, though, do we have to put in signage there?
Well, that was my question for you. Did you want to keep, because we could take the whole smoking prohibit.
Does this bring the money to us or does this take the money to the state or doesn't matter? Like, you know,
The
there's some
money
things,
comes
if you
to
don't have a
us.
local ordinance, you don't, the money goes to the state of Wisconsin.
The money would go to us if if they got somebody smoking, one of the kids
Either way.
smoking, it would come. I
If
would
we have
believe
this or
it,
don't have this.
and Mark might know that better than I.
It's not like we have to have a local ordinance for speeding, otherwise we can't do speeding. tickets.
Yeah, so like speeding adopts state statute
Mhm.
language.
Right, and that's kind of what I did in A. We adopted
Um,
the state statute.
That might be a legal question. And I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, because it's like, if we
Okay.
don't need it, why put it in there, but if we need it,
Okay,
do we reference, just say state statute states this, smoking, you know?
so, I'm referencing that the statute allows us, gives the village the authority to have an ordinance to prohibit smoking. That's why we have this one in here. I'll check with Macy on, where the fines go. If the fines, no matter what, come to us, do you want us to keep this or get rid of it?
Personally, I'd get rid of it then.
The signs?
No, the,
Yeah, that's the same.
smoking
The whole thing.
prohibited, because
Yeah,
it's,
it's
we're
state
gonna.
law.
So I'll check with Macy and see if the fines are.
Mhm.
And if they aren't, I can, we can probably write something in on A that specifically states what we want to do, just like what we had there.
Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
I thought there was a posting requirement in the statute. I'm looking back to it.
There used to be, the state used to require you to post a sign at your door that says you can't smoke here. Because ours says Jim Doyle says nobody can smoke here. It's a very sore subject in the automotive world.
Yeah.
I liked it because I didn't particularly like the secondhand smoke, but
Yeah.
Right,
I'll tell you, I think 80% of people who worked on cars back in the day smoked, so they were very upset. But I don't mess it.
all right, the next one is, adult oriented establishments.
Mhm.
And,
Actually, no,
go ahead,
before we transition to smoking,
okay.
I don't think the state statute prohibit e-smoking.
Okay, did you want to write something in for e-smoking?
Well, I guess. I know, I think that's what the state has to tackle, they have, but.
You mean the vapor?
Yeah, the vapes. We want to do that, be more restrictive on something than the state? Than on vapes, smoking vapes?
I think for me personally, I'd say let the state tackle that one, but
Yeah, why have they put it off this far? Is that controversial?
there's,
Probably.
there's no studies that,
Hard to regulate.
it's the secondhand smoking aspect of it. isn't really smoke, is it vapor, called vape.
Yeah.
I think it's-
Really, the smoking statute is a safety. For the lighted. Smoke you have to light. Smoking means a lighted cigar, a lighted cigarette, a lighted pipe, or any other lighted smoking.
And they are not.
You know, are we overstepping our boundary if Wisconsin has no verbiage about it that it's legal? Yeah. That's legal. Are any of the ladies in the office vapor smoker? Are you?
Yeah.
Do you smoke here?
Not
in the
inside,
building.
Outside, yeah,
but that's what got me to quit cigarettes.
but outside's fine.
Yeah, that's what got my son to quit smoking. So that's what's wrong.
5.11.
All right, then what else?
The adult oriented establishments, this needed to be rewritten, because ours was pretty bad on what, it just didn't, bring in the first part of it, the findings of fact and why we have it. So I grabbed that from Sussex, that was reviewed by, Macy's firm. So we don't have to pay for it again. The pieces that are changes in this section were all done by taking a look at what other municipalities have, Sussex, Vernon, and the such that would, that we were lacking.
Tighten up.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, thanks.
And then fireworks. That is
What page are you on?
I'm on 29 and 30, it's the very last piece.
Oh, I gotcha.
And so, right now, all we have is, the sale of fireworks is prohibited and we follow the state statute on what's prohibited, so I was gonna take it out. That's it.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
anything else? No. Item F, discussion necessary action regarding possible extension
You
of
have that.
waste management contract. 2025.
Okay, so I spoke with, Tony from Waste Management and I, talked to him about the dilemma with the county and, asking us to do this extension because of the recycling plant being burnt down. And, he came back with a price of, a crazy price of $10 per unit a month, which would be almost, would be $120 more per property, which just doesn't make any sense. And he, when he came back, he said, I'm gonna tell you this, but can you send me the RFP? Because you're not gonna do this. This is, the people above him gave him this number of $10. We right now are spending 100 and, or what's our, 265
Something like
year.
that per year.
and they want to add another 120 on top of that. So, just for this year's extension. So I think we're gonna, want to move forward on writing an RFP. County gave me their template and then their verbiage that they want me to put in it for, recycling. And I grabbed, another up the drive service, community that just did one in 22. So I'll try to meld those together to get us a new RFP and it'll be the full 10-year RFP or 5-year, whatever you want to do.
As the rates really increase, and we'll probably get a lot of slack from that from the residents, but instead of going up the driveway, we just have it at the end of the drive.
I think we were gonna, and it's up to you guys. I thought we were gonna continue with the service that we currently have, which is up the drive.
Here, so,
It's,
It'll be
it's,
cheaper if you don't go up the drive.
yeah, it's a major
yeah,
difference. But,
exactly.
but for the, but the property owners, I haven't heard any property owners, you know, really come to me and ask me about, can I just take it to my curb and pay a less price? They take it to the curb if they want to, if they don't want them to go up their driveway.
It's the same.
And so, but they'd have the big carts then.
We got a lot of long driveways.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, one of the things too to consider about up the drive is that if people's stuff tips over at the ditch, they're less likely to pick it up. If it tips over by their house because of the wind, they're gonna,
Yeah.
so just a community appearance.
And then when you go to an up the drive, I mean, if you go to the curbside, recycling isn't done every week and our people are used to having recycling picked up weekly,
You'll also be limited on the container size.
right?
Mhm.
So,
Cause then they go to those lift containers.
now in Waukesha, we did something a little different. We did, curbside, but then for anybody that had, a disability, they would get something from their doctor, say nobody else in the household, and then sign something that says there's nobody in the household that can do it. And then they got one, our contract actually gave them a free up the drive service. So for the cost of the curbside, when they were disabled, they were able to get up the drive. And we had written in the contract, like, I don't know, like 40 of those in our community.
I don't understand if they have to manage that.
Okay.
That to me
It was,
We've
I
got-
mean, we did that in Waukesha. We had to manage that in Waukesha.
We got 3 county roads and a state highway. I mean, I think they need to be going down those drive. I don't want a big truck holding up traffic in the morning and.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
got bad news written all over
the
it.
other thing about up the drive that's a positive, I'm up the drive service myself, is that, we know that those really heavy garbage trucks do so much damage to our local roads because of the stopping and doing that with all that weight. And when you're doing up the drive, it's just the smaller units that are going through down our roads. And yes, the big truck is sitting someplace, but it's not going down every one of our subdivision roads.
Yeah,
So
right.
it helps save the roads at the same time.
Can you check with anybody else, with the competitors?
Should put an RFP
I'll be
together.
doing an RFP and so we won't take the offer from Waste Management, and we'll just go out for an RFP and see
Yes.
who comes in with low bid. I'll bring the RFP back. Do you have a specific committee you'd like it to go to before it comes here?
No,
Mark,
No.
no, it's printed here.
okay. Just checking. Paula's over there going, it's not mine. I'm Park.
That's
I'm
not
Park.
a utility.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah, it would be Public Works. Yeah.
Just print it.
Okay, we will do.
Okay, any other questions on that one?
I do, I'm sorry, I do have a list of appointments. If you want me to just name them and approve them or wait until the next
They
one,
need to
okay?
have it ahead.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
It was no change, so,
There is a change.
well, it's just the alternate's not there.
Okay.
We wouldn't be appointing anybody. Okay,
Item 12, Public Works and Community Utility Committee referrals. A, discussion necessary action regarding possible sewer rate study.
Mark, did you want to take it?
So the utility committee, probably be best and prudent, since one hasn't been done in a long time, to essentially get the study done. And as part of our plan for the transition, this was something we agreed upon as a committee level. I guess it's kind of twofold. If you saw in your packet, there's the initial one, which would be essentially to approve the recommendation that the Public Works and Utilities already made, which was to engage others in the initial phase of the rate study. And then we had it at $4,500. One thing that we thought would be also beneficial to do is that there's also a second motion in there to approve Eller sewer rate study proposal, and at the discretion of the Public Works and Utility Committee, the additional phases at a cost of no more than $10,500. So.
So the idea was, do you want, we'll go through the, phase one, if you decide to go with the first motion. Phase one, Ellers would go through, they would, they'd bring the information back to the committee on what their findings are, and they would tell the committee if they think we need to move forward. You know, farther ahead. He said, sometimes we're done. As soon as we do phase one, we don't have to go farther. The second one is, and so then if we wanted to go farther, we'd have to bring it back to the village board to approve more money. The second motion is that we don't have to come back to the village board, but we leave the committee make the decision, listening to Eller's advice, if we should move forward on the rest of the phases to continue the project. So it's,
So like, just to get everybody up to speed, if you didn't. The Public Works Utility Committee. The phase one would just be the information request, review, and then a long-range cash flow analysis. They call it the LRCFA. And then in the packet, they also listed what they would do. And essentially the phase two would be report, presentation, and implementation. And then keep moving on down, so. The total of all the phases for services would be the 10,500.
right. That would be the max. And if they felt that, if Ellers comes back and says we only need to do phase one, it stops at 4,500. If they come back and the committee thinks we should move forward, they think we should move forward with the other phases, then the committee would be able to vote and make the determination if they wanted to continue on.
Mike, I can't remember. I don't think we got a date on the last one. Did we have that?
You never have one.
Yeah.
It's always been the sanitary district committee would review it, and I think philosophically, they had a period where the belief was that the rate was too high, given the reserve balances, so they started lowering the quarterly rate. But they weren't taking into consideration the requirement for plant replacement, so then they changed that direction and started raising the rate to cover operation and fund plant replacement for the future. Then we ran into the issue with Janine billing, where Sussex billed us substantially more than they should have, and it depleted all of the unrestricted cash. So then there was a period where we raised the rate to $220 per quarter for the financial viability, because we didn't know where the cause of the problem was. Was it infiltration in the system? Was it bad meter reading, etc.? When they finally resolved the issue, and then it was bad meter reading, Sussex made a payment back to the district of the monies that had overbilled based on estimates. And then the rates were lowered again. So that the rates have a kind of a roller coaster look to it. But it was always based on trying to have a break-even budget for operations. And then the question was, how much money should they have set aside for plant replacement?
I mean, I really think it's a low cost analysis to use a professional. I mean, ours is our financial go-to for all our other analysis.
Yep, that's correct.
And it's not something we can do in-house, I'm guessing, right?
No, this is something that you want somebody that does sewer rate studies to do. And we do not have anybody in-house that has ever done that.
And I mean, we talked about it at the committee level, they have all the data. It's-
We're proposing go with the first one and then see if we need to go to phase two. Or are you proposing go?
Me personally, what I would do is take the recommendation of the utility committee for the first two phases, which was the $4,500. And then should Ellers say that the additional phases are necessary, we already have the motion approved to let them do the work.
So second motion then.
Yeah, so there'd be two motions,
Well, no, it would just be the second motion.
would be the second of the two. Yeah.
Mhm.
Linda?
What is the likelihood that it would go to that second phase?
We don't know until they do that study.
I mean, essentially I guess what it's doing is, it's allowing us to get through phase 1 and 2, and then trust their recommendation to proceed with the next 1, 2, 3 more. Versus if we just did the one, what would happen is. We would do the first two, the initial 2 would be done, and then we would have to come back for additional. Approval through the committee and then board, so. We could be talking a month and a half delay
Right.
in getting it.
And we want to, the idea of the second motion would help us get our results in time for budget time. So,
How do you feel, Linda?
I'm not in favor of it. These studies are, to me, just, no, I won't vote for this, but I know I'm just one vote.
You wanna try and convince the others why not, or just?
No, I just think, that. Who's ever, I am concerned though, because once Mike leaves, office is gonna be doing this. As far as the rate goes, but I just think I look at this and I'm going. No, all these studies that we do to raise costs, and a lot of times they just cost us money, and it just has not been. Productive in the money, so will just say no.
I guess I would propose one thing, so if through this process, it's determined, because it talks about, your cash flow and everything else, what if this process ends up saving $20,000 in the future?
Yeah, I mean,
Through debt financing and such.
Mike, at our last committee meeting, you spoke to. The professionalness of this, that this is a common thing and it's not. I mean, I don't know if the words in your mouth, but. This is not an unnecessary thing to perform.
I think that you have enough residents that challenge why the rate is $155. We routinely, there's just recently another email from someone investigating that same issue. So having a third party that is specialized in doing it gives you something more to answer those residents that are challenging it, other than saying we operate a budget break even to fund our replacement. The difficulty with the rate study is you have to have a view of what the future is. So when they talk about 10 years out, what is the sewer utility going to look like in 10 years? That's where it gets to be more difficult. So looking at the history is easy. It's looking to the future that becomes like.
And that's something we don't have figured out.
Right. I mean, that's what the rate study is supposed to help you. How are we gonna fund the future growth of this utility?
Yeah, we, at the utility level, the committee level, we did talk about it. Nobody's really known for the last 10 years prior where we're going, we just got 10 years more down the road. I mean.
Some of that we were a town.
No, I understand that, but I mean, having some professional insight to lay people who are making decisions is very helpful.
Is this only one, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the 5-person board now is so more qualified than what the 3 residents we had on the board. We were just going on what the administrator was telling us, and we relied on that. I understand that, but but I still, I commend the new board because we've got some really good, strong people on there.
Is this, so I'm not against the rate study, but I guess my thing would be, if we don't know where we're going, what are we studying? Because I mean, our next one on here is talking about the potential for a gravity sewer extension, which I think is very important. But is this something we need to look at? Where are we gonna be putting sewer? I mean, we have the old border agreement, which showed, we have a Denham H, and so, okay, here's where this sewer went, this is the number of gallons or this went, but quite frankly, things have really changed over the years, because back when that was done, we had 4 gallon to flush toilets, now we have 1.6. We didn't have 2 gallon limited faucets, you know, the nozzles, now we do. You know, things have really changed over the years. Is that something we, just a small piece of a bigger puzzle that we need to figure out?
Well, I mean, to that end, phase 3, the utility rate study. We'll take any available information on upcoming developments and population growth over the planning period. That would increase the customer base or usage, or conversely, any information on customers reducing usage or moving out of the municipality.
But that's something we're gonna have to supply them. I mean, like with the development on 164, that's envisioned that would be sewer and water.
Mhm.
But like anything, now anything west of Coles, we can put an interceptor, in, so that's not getting sewer and water. We have enough information to give them, I guess. Or is this?
I mean, they're gonna give them what's available. I guess the only other option is to take the utility recommendation for the $4,500 and then
Come back with the.
I guess I'm more saying I'm
Come
going
back.
far enough.
what's that?
I'm kind of saying I'm going far enough right now. Do we? Because like you're saying, part of this is planning ahead, where we haven't really done that yet.
Are we going far enough with steps 1 and 2? Is that the question, or
One whole, 1, 2, and 3, is that fun, are we gonna have the information necessary to complete those properly with what we have right now? Because Ellis is gonna ask, where are you seeking your development, I'm assuming. So we need to have
I
an
would think
answer
so.
for that.
I would think so, but, and we,
Are we ready for that? Or is there something else we need to do to be ready for that?
I think we have some we have the 164 corridor, and then we also are, the next thing that we're gonna be talking about is what we're looking at for the Richmond Fire Station area.
Right. And if that's
So
all,
that'll be a
if
growth
that's the
as
things
well.
we have, that's
Mhm.
part of this study, I just want to make sure we get them the right information, I guess. I
Right.
should've looked at that. But,
I mean, if we don't approve the second part of it, we're not gonna get to the rates then. We'll be stopped at the
I guess what I'm saying is we have to do more prep work before we start this. I'm not against this at all.
Yeah.
we have to do more prep work.
Yeah, because Ellers isn't gonna know, like, they're gonna ask us for the information of where you are expecting sewer and water to be. So we need to give them that information, and are we ready to do that? Do we have that information available? So we've never really talked about it.
Okay, but we all know that our development on the west side is our biggest area of development that would have sewer and water.
I mean, I could point to a map and tell you where I envision sewer and water. would be.
Yeah.
You know, but that changed in the last couple of years, because I would have envisioned that the subdivision by Templeton would have had it.
One,
We found out
yeah.
sewer too, I would have envisioned, to be honest with you, but we found out that it wasn't feasible due to the rocks, and it's,
right?
I didn't know if you guys discussed that.
We did not get into the service. Only part of the service area that we've gone into is the next agenda item.
Is what, I'm sorry.
The next agenda item.
But if you feel we have enough information to proceed, then really found that.
I personally think the best benefit is in phases 3, 4, and 5. But you can't get the 3, 4, and 5 unless you do 1 and 2. I mean, the most benefit to our future is going to be knowing what we should be charging people appropriately.
I think
I mean, Nobody's coming at any members of the utility and asking for historical analysis of anything. They want to know why I forwarded one to Mike today that we got, that she wants to know why we're being charged $155. I said, Mike, he's better to explain it than I am.
I did the same thing earlier this month, earlier this week. I think, if you decided to go with the second, motion, that actually puts that in the committee's hands, and when we talk to Ellers, if Ellers were to say, we're gonna move, we think we need to move forward, then we can go through and say, well, the data that you're requesting from us, exactly what do you need from us? And
So
so
that would go
we'd
to
be
the
able
committee
to,
then.
and then the committee
This would
then
be-
could say, we're not ready. Or we are ready. But the
Okay.
committee, it would put it in the committee's hands
Yeah,
do we move forward or not?
The results of 1 and 2 are gonna go back to the committee. The results of 1 through 5 are also gonna go back. But we just,
And,
we don't,
and the,
essentially, we don't have any professional understanding of what our rate is gonna be. Like, is it gonna be 100? I mean, where are we do 155 plus CPI for the next year?
But I'm just saying some of that goes into future planning. Right? Am I wrong on that? I'm asking.
some of it will go, and some of it will go to our maintenance. So we're gonna have a big maintenance bill this year, or in 25.
The TAC agreement is part of this.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it is.
we need to get some information on that, because if we're gonna be expanding the station for the land and interceptor,
Mhm.
is that part of this? Is that
Part of the study.
being figured in? And do we need to get more? I guess that's where I'm going is,
I don't know if the TAC is gonna be part of this.
Well, this is, so let me step back, because this is just the sewer rate
so
study,
this is just.
just sewer. It's not water at all.
Okay,
So all the stuff we're doing with land and stone, that's all.
but as far as like expanding like if we're gonna, with the land and interceptor, if that expands, that's not gonna be part of this portion.
No, we would probably have to figure out if at that point we were going to do the land and interceptor. We would,
Just the village.
expand it, we would, yeah,
So this is more of like a lift station planned obsolescence of
Planned,
a lift
all of
station
that,
that's going.
maintenance and all
And
of
that
that.
we would be able to figure. Go ahead, Mike.
But one of the key parts of our rate is what we pay Sussex. So
Mhm.
what's gonna happen in Sussex? And what's gonna happen as far as the repair or rebuilding of the treatment plant is all gonna have to be taken into consideration.
Right, and we've got those numbers, preliminary numbers on the treatment plant rebuild. And we got,
Well, when you're doing the rate study, you're looking at all the costs. And a lot of the costs that we have aren't under our control. Those to Sussex and those with the infiltration on the land and interceptor, those things we don't control.
But we're gonna be able to get all the information to Ellers to get a proper study. I guess that's the best
Yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah, I don't know that your 164 question will be answered. But I don't think that's the scope of service that we're looking at.
Alright. Paul,
I don't know, I think we're gonna land this one.
Is it all or nothing, or is it I mean, are you in favor of the first 2 phases?
Well, I mean, like you explained though, I mean, really what good do the first two phases do you without them going whole thing, right?
Mhm.
It helps you to know that you need to go to 375.
I mean, I can't imagine going to 1 and 2 and not going to 3, 4, 5.
This one, that's 3, 4, 5.
It's I mean, it's gonna be that, I mean, I don't think that $4,500 is even something to think about. Just gonna be the 10-5 or nothing.
Right, and the only reason it is something to think about is so the committee only considered the first 2 because that's all they had at the time.
right,
And you're confident, just to kind of expand on the point that Joe brought up, you're confident that we can get them all the pertinent information, so this is, if we do spend $10,500, it's gonna be. You know, it's gonna be worth every,
For the
Dollar.
scope of service, they look at the current, well, the information we could provide to them, we have to. We're not gonna be making up information to give to them about.
no, I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying, you know, with future, whatever we've got going, because they're talking about, you know, where your future rates are gonna be, so you're gonna have to have some idea of what your development's gonna look like, right?
Any known development plans will be given to them, but, I mean, we can't just show them our 2050 plan and have them try and figure out what this rate should be.
Yeah, I get that.
It's about the currency. If the committee would have had the option to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the same time, it would have been presented that way. But it wasn't, it was only presented in phases 1 and 2 at the time, which they were in favor of.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna speak for the committee, but I would have recommended 1 through 5 at the time.
And you're thinking this is especially important now too, because we switched over from town to village, now it's up to us to maintain this, and this is gonna help.
Yeah, I
Make
mean,
good
I
decisions
can,
for the whole
I can
field.
show you, somebody literally just asked, why do we charge $155?
And so to have the, yeah,
Why?
and so to have that,
Costs money to do it.
But why, but, okay, so say that we really should be charging $195. If we keep down that path of a shortfall in user fees, we won't be able to pay for it, and then we'll have to go borrow, which is gonna cost us more. Inversely, if 155 is too much, we're overcharging, and then we're going into a for-profit situation. Going back to that scenario that he explained earlier.
Profit.
I'd really like to get to the point of proactively doing things instead of reactively.
I mean, this rate study will give us insight into appropriately doing what the utility should be doing by way of fees. You know, I mean, I'll just tell if I'll be the one making the motion, I'm gonna go for the number 2.
I'll try it.
So, here we go.
Otherwise, we're gonna stare each other down all night.
Motion to approve phase 1 of Ellers rate study proposal. And at the discretion of the Public Works Utility Committee, the additional phases at a cost of no more than $10,500.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion, any more?
Actually, I want to clarify my motion. The way that it's written in the Ellers scope of services, they break it out into 1, 2 is the first $4,500, and then 3, 4 are the later phases, which bring the total to 10,500. So I'm in my motion to read phase 1 and 2.
Second's okay with that?
So which one? I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
If you look at scope of service, appendix 3, page,
Compensation.
yep, page 4,
Yeah.
you see how their service
Yes,
is broken into 2 initial phases.
Yes.
And then phase 3 and 4.
your motion is for all phases though, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Any last discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-1. All right, item 12B, discussion necessary action regarding sewer area study for gravity sewer extension.
all right, you want me to talk?
Sure.
So, we've gone around with our, we have this problem with our, sewer between the,
Station.
yeah, the fire station and Richmond School. And we've spoken with Sussex to see if there was a way that we could get some gravity feed. They've figured out a pattern and has worked with Kunkel to see what that pattern would be to get us a gravity feed system over there. And what this proposal does is they go out and see what the capacity will hold, what the pipe will hold, and what area over in that part of our community would be able to be part of their suggested sewer rate area or sewer area. So they're going to study the flow and the number of houses that could actually be brought into this new gravity feed system.
Just to give a current perspective on what we have over there right now is we have 3-inch pipe running essentially from the area of Richmond School all the way back to the new termination point is now Redford Hill subdivision. It's the new one that comes from Richmond Road all the way down to Highway K. On that whole line that goes from, let's just call it 164 back to Richmond School, we have 2 users, that being Richmond School and then the Lisbon Fire Department. None of the properties for the engineering even hook up to that pipe right now because we have problems in the sense of which is called engineering and spec for the current system, which are causing problems on our pumps.
Force main.
It's a force main, there's pressure, the flows are not good.
It's a
It's,
disaster.
it's almost, we can continue to stick money into it, but it's only serving two properties. In all reality, a gravity system would be better serviced if it was running down Richmond Road, but we don't know that that's even possible. So this essentially would allow us to explore the option of bringing Richmond School, Lisbon Fire Department, all the way down Highway K, and then connecting back to the Sussex Point at Industrial, right just west of Quickfield. It would be a gravity system. There'd be no force mains. There would be no considerations for air reliefs in the pipe. There'd be no problems with getting the stuff down the pipe. The pumps that we currently have at the Richmond station would likely be gone by way of design. So we have been replacing pumps on an annual basis, which it's a costly process and like, let's just say it's $10,000 for a pump with labor, installation, repair, replacement. So
The
this is,
system needs to be replaced.
the system will drastically need to be repaired or if left in current state or replaced.
Right.
And then it really wouldn't make sense to. You're then gonna have to then battle all the users along that stretch versus there's really no users along Highway K right now.
It would set it up for development.
It would set it up for future development.
So this proposal is done by Kunkel. They're asking a not to exceed of $8,960 to do the study to find what the properties that could be serviced by this gravity feed system.
So moved. Is there a second
I'll second that one.
discussion?
Yes. Who's going to pay for this?
What do you mean?
This is not in the sewer district.
Not yet.
Okay, who's gonna pay for all the study work that you wanna do over there? That's what I wanna make sure. So it's not the sewer, the utility paying for it. It's gonna be the village.
It's all, Linda, all that money
Yes.
and all of that
I
is village
understand
money.
what you're saying, but I'm
Okay.
here to say,
At some point, you gotta let that go.
I know, dear, but I just wanna point out that the people online have got that money that was put over to the village. That was their money that they put in that account. Okay, and I feel so protective of that money that why should the people that put that money in be paying for extra work on the other side of town? Because it
You
has,
know how much the town of Lisbon and village of Lisbon, all the residents have put into the system that you use that wasn't recouped? You have any idea how much? There's pipes, huge dollar pipes that haven't even been used, that the village
that was
paid.
way before my time.
But it's all stuff that would have gone to the sanitary district and everything else. At some point, it's a utility district. We have
I
to get-
understand
But this is development like this would come out of the village fund,
I just wanna make sure.
yeah.
Because I can see later on that the village goes back, if they get sewer, if they connect over there, that those people will be paying for it. I just wanna make
Just
sure.
gotta, there's benefits back and forth to this, and it wasn't like the village has ever taken advantage of the sewer district. And back and forth, we still have a ton of capacity in the sewer treatment plant that the village residents have paid for that the sanitary district hasn't taken on.
Mhm,
I mean, and it's not a sanitary district anymore, it's utility, but
right,
I mean, there's a
right.
lot of things that have been a back and forth,
Right.
it's not like
Well, you know.
Pepsi is
Joe-
putting money into that,
Yeah,
Polyak is putting money into that, Wyckoff is putting money into that. I mean, there's a lot of.
but I think the whole, but the village should be paying for that, and you're telling me that the village is going to be paying for that.
For
It's
that
not
study.
the village,
For the study, yes.
The sewer, okay.
Yeah,
The village right now pays for aside from user fees, the village pays for everything that goes on in the old sanitary.
I don't think so.
How does it not? We have a budget that comes out of the town,
Well, that's our budget.
of the village.
Yeah.
That's not, there is no R versus us
Well,
versus
see,
them.
I'm old time, I've been on the old committee for years. And I just think, you know, personally, I figured it out, it's like $2,500 a household that we have put into that money. That you got, that the village now has in their account. And so I am against people online paying for future work. Because that's not their responsibility.
Well, so when we add, so we're adding users. So if that 164 development happens, what happens then?
They pay for it.
It's the utility district, Linda.
I know that, but I'm just saying,
And you know what? By adding people, you can lower costs.
but so you're telling me, okay, so I just want to get this clear, so we're talking about it. 164, if that goes to the development and stuff, you're saying that the utility is gonna be paying for that?
The developer usually pays to put the pipes in, or the village does it through TIF. So the
Mhm.
TIF actually paid for the leads, okay?
Mhm.
So that all that infrastructure is put in, but then when it comes to the users and the capacity and everything else, that's all gonna be in one group. Which sometimes can raise and sometimes can lower, but it's one group. We never did sanitary district 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That was your committee that didn't do that, not the utility group.
I was
So-
not, because we
But
always
it's,
speak
but it's
about,
how it is.
I know, but I just want to clarify.
I mean, you
people
guys
who
were
don't know
billing,
this.
you guys were billing people for money for systems that never had it.
Mhm.
They never had a system and you benefited from that.
That's
all those
50,
years.
down, whatever it is.
Yeah, you benefited from that all those years.
Yeah.
Are you protected for them? Because should you be giving them their money back now because they're not in the
Well,
sanitary
it's for
district?
the future use, yep,
Thank you. Okay, we're in agreement.
I agree.
But
I'm
then you
just-
have to, that whole pot of money has to be viewed that way
I'm
too.
just saying, because what happens if the district, the people that are on sewer right now, okay, they have a problem. The roads have to be dug up. On Scott Street, they have to be blown up because of all the rock that was in there. Okay, so those people over there are gonna have to pay for it. We have money in the bank,
If
this
it's part of the public utility, everybody. gets it.
but it's,
Right.
but
So
it's,
actually, the new people are more
Yeah.
at risk than you, because Pepsi and Wyckoff and Pizza Ranch and all of them, who have
Mhm.
brand new systems that they've now paid for,
Mhm.
are liable for when your system fails, and they have to pay for it. And we're gonna be talking about grinder pumps, obviously, and other things.
okay,
Pepsi is paying for those. So is Polyac. They're all paying for that stuff that they didn't sign up for in the past.
okay,
So is it fair to them?
So, and so is everybody who doesn't have a grinder pump isn't in the service area.
Right, so this is all things that, when you're looking at this pot of money. You can't have tunnel vision.
I do.
I know you do, but
I would say, I think the easiest way to relate this to, and I'm praying that this is not a school board discussion. But the easiest argument that I say is, you have to think of it like. A person who has school age kids
Yeah.
versus a person who has got their kids out of school, or a person who hasn't got their kids into school. Everybody pays the same,
Right.
because it's for the public interest.
Right.
Yeah, but the only thing I'm saying is that it's the people that originally went online, that's how much money you've got into the village funds because of those people.
I'll give you an example relating to schools. A school referendum goes through and it's capped at 20 years. Does that mean the person that comes into the district at year 21 now has to pay for the people that made a decision 20 years ago?
But that's,
It's the same thing.
No.
thing.
no. I
It
don't
is
think
the
it's-
That
exact
money,
same.
that's a rolling money, so at what
Yeah.
point is that money?
Yeah.
So that money has been, I mean, 5 years on the road, that money you put in has been spent, and that
Yeah.
there's new money in there. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you?
So because we have never really in depth talked about this and you guys know how I feel about it, and I admit, I got tunnel vintage. Vision. So that $8,900 study is gonna be paid for by the village. Everybody pays for it.
This study is a village study.
Okay, because we've had somebody at our board meeting say he doesn't want to pay for sewer, because he's not on
Yeah.
sewer,
It's,
remember?
Say it again.
That somebody at the at our board said. He doesn't want to have to pay for sewer because he's not on sewer. So do you think he's gonna come to a board meeting and say,
That person, I think you're talking about the committee, right?
yes,
That person said they don't wanna pay for grinder pumps because.
no, he wasn't gonna pay for sewer, his words exactly were sewer mark. Because I said, well, we don't wanna pay for expansion either. Why should we have to pay for it? The people who get a benefit of it, they pay their own. And then when something needs to repair, maybe it's after it's in,
Be
then,
real cautious of how that we gotta keep this in relation to the,
okay, I got you.
the gravity sewer extension.
Okay, I am for it if the village pays for it.
Yeah, we have a first and a second.
Yeah. All right.
Mm.
You good?
Well, I'd like to put in there that the village pays for it.
That's where the money's coming. I mean, motion's made and seconded. It's talked about that the money's coming out of the village. I don't know that we need to adapt the motion. And that's,
I actually made note on the thing so I can talk to Don about it, make sure that his scope of work says. The top, when he bills us, when he does the billing, they put like what the product or what the project was for, so. It'll go into the village.
motion's made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimous.
Okay.
Item 13 is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second.
Made and seconded, no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're out at 8:49.
I don't even need contract copy.
We get it. It's just, we gotta have that discussion at some point.